Parker. Big thing for him now is just make him shoot overtime. Oh.
Did you see the move by the MVP? What a play by Rose!
To say Derrick Rose's 11 NBA seasons have had their ups and downs is perhaps the biggest possible understatement. He's seen the highest individual honors and felt the pressure that comes from self-doubt after injuries have taken their toll. As Rose is in the midst of a resurgence, let's take a look at the 10 best games of his career. Derrick Rose became the youngest player to win MVP in 2011. As you can imagine, this list will include several games from that season. Number 10 on the list is a February 2nd, 2011 road game against the Los Angeles Clippers. Rose had been playing through pain all season. Nagging injuries were beginning to take a toll. Former Bull and current Chicago announcer Stacey King praised the Bulls' young star for his toughness and leadership. "It holds everybody accountable," King said. "I mean, when your best player is hurt and in pain, and he shows up every day in practice and plays hard, and he shows up in the game when most guys would sit out, I liken it to the same way that Michael Jordan was." On this night, against the Clippers, Rose didn't look injured at all. He sliced his way through Clippers defense on the way to a 32-point, 3-rebound, 11-assist performance. Rose made 4 of 8 three-point attempts and led Chicago to an 18-point win. The victory culminated a 6-game win streak for Chicago. In April 2011, the Bulls were well on their way to a league-best 62-20 record in the regular season, and talk was mounting of Rose winning the league MVP. Rose had his doubters. One site called KingJamesGospel.com asked if Rose would be the worst MVP ever. However, Rose had built up quite the following because of his death-defying moves on the floor and his humble spirit. Bleacher Report's Faizan Qureshi wrote, "The fastest rising superstar in the NBA, what more can be said about Derrick Rose than hasn't already been said? He is the player that I truly believe lets his game speak for itself. Rose is something not a lot of NBA players can say these days, and that's a pure basketball player. That's all Rose knows, and that's all he does. Everything else, the endorsements, commercials, etc., are just gravy. Rose has 3 simple rules on the court. 1, no trash talking. 2, don't complain to refs. And 3, let your game speak." Boy, did he ever let it speak on April 10th against the Orlando Magic. With only 3 games left in the regular season, Rose and the Bulls were hell-bent on ending the year with a statement. Rose poured in 39 points on 13 of 17 shooting and had 5 assists. Rose's 2010-11 season was so good, members of the media were already comparing him to other great Chicago point guards of the past. April of 2011 was a big month for Rose. Just 6 days after he tore into the Orlando Magic for 39 points, he scored the same amount in the Bulls' playoff opener against Paul George and the Indiana Pacers. Rose and the Bulls looked every bit of the number 1 seed in the East en route to a 104-99 win. Rose was dominating, attacking the basket as he made 19 of 21 free throws. The Bulls will go on to win the series in 5. With the MVP conversation bubbling in Chicago, Rose showed no signs of feeling the pressure. March 26, 2011, there's no question Derrick Rose is and always has been a scoring point guard. However, on certain nights of his career, he has proven to be a dynamic distributor. In the 7th best game of his career, Rose dissected the Milwaukee Bucks to the tune of a 30-point, 17-assist performance. Rose made 9 of 17 shots from the field, knocked down all 12 of his free throws, and only turned the ball over twice in 40-plus minutes on the floor. This was one of the most complete performances you'll ever see from a point guard. There aren't a ton of great memories from Rose's injury-plagued 2011-12 season that saw him suffer the career-altering knee injury in the postseason. However, 2 of the biggest moments happened in the last week of the calendar year. The lockout shortened the season to 66 games, and things got underway on Christmas. Rose hit the game winner to beat Kobe and the Lakers. On December 30th, 2011, 5 days later, while closing out a 4-game West Coast road trip to open the season, Rose victimized the other LA team. The Clippers are the only team to appear twice on this list as a victim of Rose's brilliance. On the last game of the calendar year, he hung 29 points, 16 assists, and 8 rebounds on Chris Paul and company. Rose made 8 of 14 from the field and 10 of 11 from the free throw line. The Bulls were off to a 4-1 start to a season they would finish 50-16, with Rose appearing in only 39 games. Non-American teams weren't exempt from Rose's wrath. In an early April contest during his MVP season, Rose set fire to the Toronto Raptors with a 36-point, 10-assist, 3-rebound, 1 steal, and 3-block performance. He was all over the court on both ends of the floor in this game. The 3 blocks equaled a career high. He knifed his way through Toronto's defense and asserted himself as a pace-setting presence. The theme of this game was efficiency. 90% of this list comes from Rose's time with the Chicago Bulls, but there is one very special performance with the Minnesota Timberwolves that cannot go unnoticed. Long after many had written Rose off as a shell of the player he once was, former head coach Tom Thibodeau still believed in him. He pushed to get Rose signed in Minnesota, and his 1-year stay in Minnie would be a success. The highlight was the amazing 50-point performance he delivered against the Utah Jazz on Halloween. Rose didn't just pour in 50 to carry the Wolves to a win. He also came up with a big block shot on the final play of the game to preserve the victory. Afterwards, Rose's post-game interview said it all.
Derrick, you can see you're very emotional. A huge victory for this team, and it comes from you and your career high 50 points. What does it mean to you, Derrick?
Man, everything, man. I worked my ass off, bro. I wouldn't have did this for the franchise, the organization, the fans, everybody, man. I wouldn't be able to play the way I play, man.
We weren't sure if it was the throwback jersey you were wearing, but you did look like Derrick Rose of old. And what did it feel like going through from beginning to end?
I'm doing anything just to win, man. I play my heart out. My teammates told me before the game, just play my game. And tonight was a hell of a night.
What does it say about this team that seemed unnerved when you found out that you were going to be down 2 starters, and you guys jumped right away at the start of this game under your energy and didn't stop at all? What does it say about this team?
We got a young group. My job is to come in, be the veteran, help guys out, and lead by example. You see me talking. It's the most I ever talked to my teammates in my whole career. So it means a lot.
I'm not crying. You're crying. In a precursor to Rose's MVP season, the Bulls were steadying themselves for a postseason battle against LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. However, before that test, the Bulls got an opportunity to test their mettle against another elite Eastern Conference squad. Rose would toil 45 minutes in an epic performance against the Boston Celtics en route to 39 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, and 3 blocks. He made 15 of 22 shots from the field and committed only 2 turnovers in the game as he led Chicago to an 8-point win in a confidence-building effort. There is something to be said for putting up big games against top-notch opponents. Rose seemed to save his best for the elite. In the final game before the All-Star break, Rose and the Bulls hosted the San Antonio Spurs. With Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Manu Ginobili all on the court, Rose was at his best. He put in 42 points with 5 rebounds and 8 assists as he made 64% of his shots from the field and had just 1 turnover. This was a statement game for the Bulls and Rose heading into the All-Star break of his MVP season. Obviously, Rose has had some great games in his career, but all things considered, his 44-point, 5 rebounds, 7 assist performance in the Eastern Conference semifinals on the road against a good Atlanta Hawks team is the best overall game of his career. The Bulls had lost home court advantage after a Game 1 loss to the Hawks. After winning Game 2, Chicago needed to regain the home court advantage with a win on the road in Atlanta. Rose's dynamics ensured that as he pushed the Bulls to a 17-point win. He was the best player on the floor on a night when his team absolutely needed him to be. Rose's career is far from over. As a matter of fact, he is thriving with the Detroit Pistons this season. Perhaps he can add a few performances that claim a spot on this list moving forward. Even if he doesn't, what he's done has already been memorable.
I'll be weak, I'm rather unique.